This is my compare and contrast midterm assignment, Colton Summers. These are my three things regarding oppression. So in the late 1800s, the government made it to where deaf children weren't able to use ASL in schools. That made it a lot harder for them to communicate with other people and their teachers while in school, and it made them not be able to learn as fast as regular. And then trying to produce less deaf people in eu eugenetics. Uh, they were trying to get rid of the deaf gene because they saw it as something bad and we bad for society and we didn't need it. And so they try to get rid of it, and that's why like sperm banks and stuff don't take in deaf people's sperm. And then making them feel less than everyone. People tend to view deaf people as like uh people who aren't able to communicate with other people, or they aren't able to do all the things that everyone else is just because they're deaf, even though the deaf person can do anything that a regular person can do. Three things that differ from American culture to deaf culture. American culture, in American culture, being deaf isn't like viewed as a good thing. Like you don't want to be deaf. It makes it a lot harder to learn and everything. And well, in deaf culture, being deaf and like more hard of hearing is actually better because then you get to immerse yourself in a good community where good people are. And in American culture, helping themselves is more important. They're really self-centered and don't like helping other people. And in deaf culture, helping others is super important. Helping them uh, learn stuff and bring each other up. In American culture, there's only really one way to learn. You know, you grow up, you go to school, and you learn your English, and then whatever languages. In deaf culture, you're as you grow up, you kind of are surrounded by a lot more languages. Like you start out with ASL or uh, get a cochlear implant and learn English, but you still learn ASL along the way. Three historical events slash people. Uh, Gallaudet University coming forth. I think that's a very big one. It's like the biggest thing you in deaf history, and how he went to France and all that to learn ASL and bring it back to America and establishing a school for deaf people. And that's a typo there. I meant black deaf schools. Making it black deaf schools is uh, during the segregation time period, they made black deaf schools uh, so that they could still learn what they needed to without interfering with the state's laws. And I thought that was really cool because they were able to learn like their own slang and stuff, or not slang, but own ways of talking, I guess. And then we already talked about eugenetics. I don't know why it's in here again, but this is trying to get rid of deaf people. You know, they saw it as a bad thing. They didn't want more of them. They thought it was like a disease, kind of. They thought maybe they could get rid of it by kind of not letting deaf people procreate as often. And then two ways the deaf community is diverse. There's a lot of ways to communicate. You can use ASL. You can uh, use like written uh, English in some ways, and you're also able to like communicate through uh, body language and stuff like that. And they are very welcoming to people who want to learn. So I feel like the deaf community has always helped people, and I've been one of those people that they kind of just help because they're like, "Oh, you want to learn this? I'll help you all the way that I can to get you to where you want to be," you know. So that's where that is. And then deaf culture minority status at a global level. Some places are and able to use their sign language in their school systems, like how the U.S. was back in the day. There are still countries out there that aren't able to use their ways to communicate, and they're having to use oral ways and stuff like that. In the U.S., we are able to use ASL in schools now and establish it as like its own language. Uh, Black people are already not able to learn languages like during slavery times and whatnot, and that made it hard because they were already behind and stuff. And imagine being like a deaf black person back in the day. You didn't have English to go off of or ASL, so like you weren't able to communicate at all. And then uh, so that would make it really hard, and that's like way worse because you don't even know English itself. And then deaf people always try to bring more people into learning languages. Like they try to bring everyone they can to learn ASL or any other languages that they learn because they think it's a very important thing to them. Languages are a very important thing to them and bring people closer together. Native American PISL or hand talkers. In this video, there's a group of Native Americans and a general that came to a meeting and talked with each other and introduced themselves and whatnot, and it shows them all discussing in their native sign language. Native Americans slowly losing their native sign. They took away their ability to use their native sign in schools. So uh, when they were trying to make Indians more civilized, they put them in boarding schools and allowed them not to use their uh, native tongue or sign language. So a lot of people weren't able to learn those, and now it's slowly uh, fading away because not as many people know it anymore, and so people are just slowly forgetting how to sign it, and it's a dying language. And people are trying to help revive it, but it's hard because there's not a lot to work with. And these are just the sources. So, I mean, this one's for the Native American thing that I talked about in the last two slides, and then the rest of it was just class information. The class information isn't a link or anything; it's just what I thought should be there.